Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate. This is a song, obviously, composed by Srila Rupa Goswami, who is a very dear, close and intimate servant of Srimati Radharani. He praised to her as the one who is very dear to Madhava. Madhava means Krishna. Krishna has many names. One well-known name of Krishna is Madhava. The name Madhava has many meanings. One of the meanings of the name Madhava is he who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, better known as Lakshmi. So she is very dearly beloved to the husband of the goddess of fortune. This indicates a paramour relationship. So this is a great mystery at the pinnacle of spiritual life. Radha and Krishna. This parakiya bhav, or the paramour relationship. So she is described as Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohita, and in vocative form Mohite. She is the topmost among all the many young girls of Gokula. Gokul means the place of the cows. Where there are many cows. So where there are many cows, there are many people also. Particularly the cow herding community. So the gopis, that gopi means females of the cow herding community. So this is all highly, it may sound very prosaic, but it is highly esoteric. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe. She wears clothes, she dresses in such a way as to increase the excitement or the attachment and the excitement and the inspiration that Damodar, Krishna, feels in her. She's increasing that by her dress, by the scent she wears. Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Bipineshe. She is the queen of Vrindavan, the groves of Vrindavan, which are the Hari Nishkuta, the bowers within the gardens of Vrindavan. So it's all quite, particularly the bowers of Krishna, Hari Nishkuta. So Hari is also a very important name. He means he who takes away. So that has very esoteric significance in relation to the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Rishabhanu Dadhi Navashashi Leke. She is described as the moon which has arisen, the new moon which has arisen from the ocean of Vrishabhanu. Her father's name is Vrishabhanu. New moon here doesn't mean if we see the new moon. In the big cities like Miami, you don't see the moon because of the neon lights. But if you go out into the country, you'll see what is called the new moon. It's just a sliver, very small. But here new means newly arisen. So she's a full moon, or more beautiful than many millions of moons. So again, this is very poetic language. Lalita Shaki, she is the friend of Lalita, one of the two principal gopis, and the other principal gopi. Well, she is the principal gopi, and her principal gopi friends, the two most important are Lalita, she is the friend of Lalita, and Vishakha. By her qualities, by Radha's qualities, she gives great pleasure to Vishakha. So, Rupa Goswami finishes this short song. The last verse is saying, Karunang kurumai, Karuna bharite. O you who are full of mercy, please be merciful to me. One of Radha's famous names is Karunamayi. She's very compassionate, very merciful. Karunam kurumai karuna bharite Shanaka Sanatana Bornite Charite. Sanak, Sanatan, they are two of the four Kumaras. The other two are Sanat and Sananda. They are great meditators, great philosophers, self-realized souls, but the conclusion or the perfection of their self-realization is their glorifying the qualities, the characteristics, the personality of Srimati Radharani, which we are to do today on Radhashtami. Actually, the festival should be up to midday. You might consider for next time. Actually, the Radhashtami festival is supposed to be in the morning, and then Abhishek, everything finished at midday. But we do it in the evening for the convenience of those who are coming from outside. But actually, it's supposed to be done according to her convenience and not our convenience. So you may bear that in mind for the next time. So we are to discuss here the qualities, characteristics, and personality of Radharani. And from the outset we should declare myself completely unfit to do so. Not only this is not a question of shame, but even Krishna himself finds himself unfit to do so. Krishna is full, complete, and perfect. There is no lacking in Krishna. But nevertheless, if he is to glorify Srimati Radharani, he finds himself lacking. This is not an imperfection in Krishna, but rather it points to the supreme, superlative perfection of Radha, which is far, far, far beyond our imagination. We who are stuck in this tiny little world, absorbed in our own tiny little concerns, with our petty attachments to and our petty identification, our identification of ourselves as a product of this material world, far, far beyond that platform is the platform of Radha and Krishna, which nevertheless to the uneducated, by uneducated I don't mean, to the uneducated appears to be something very ordinary. To the uneducated, I don't mean those who didn't go to school or don't have a university education. Because in recent times on this planet, one of the very few people who actually had entrance into understanding of Srimati Radharani was from the ordinary perspective, almost totally uneducated. That's Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So when I say uneducated, I don't mean that to understand Radha and Krishna, one has to have a university degree. As a matter of fact, university degrees, if anything, they are more of an obstacle in even beginning to understand this topic. Because jaro vidya jato mayar bhaibab tomar bhajane baddha. Moha janamya anitya samsare jeev ke kare gadha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was himself very maturely educated from the external, from any point of view, and who was actually a very great devotee of Radha, Amito Radhika Kapati Shada. He declared himself to always be in the party of, always be biased toward Radha. So he declared that mundane knowledge is simply a display of Krishna's illusory energy. And it is an obstacle in approaching Krishna or worshipping Krishna. It gives rise to, in this world of illusion, it gives rise to more illusion. In this temporary material world, it gives rise to more illusion and converts the jiva, who is supposed to be, or is by nature, Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, converts him into an ass. So it is not by mundane knowledge that we can even begin to approach the subject of Radha and Krishna. If we are to discuss Radha, then we have to discuss Radha Krishna. Because like every living being in existence, Radha is to be understood in relation to Krishna. They may say, well, that's not true. When we discuss about Mr. Obama or Mr. Romney, we don't talk about Krishna. What relation do they have to Krishna? Well, their lack of relation to Krishna is their problem. And that's the problem of everyone, or their forgetfulness of their relationship with Krishna. But actually every living being is related to Krishna. And of all living beings who are related to Krishna, some recognize that and some that don't. Those that recognize that, they are devotees of Krishna. And of all devotees of Krishna, she is by far the topmost. Krishna is, by his very name, means all attractive. And Radha means she has the qualities to attract him who is all attractive. So, everyone is defined in relation to Krishna. Krishna is the center of existence. Krishna is existence. There's nothing separate from Krishna. But Krishna, he defines his own existence in relation to Radha. These are all very high topics. Who understands Krishna? Who's even interested in Krishna? In this whole city of Miami, how many people are even interested in Krishna? Of those who are interested in Krishna, how many are very interested? Enough to come in the rain. Probably if there hadn't been rain this afternoon, the crowd here would have been much more. We hear of Radha going through the forest and through so many dangers and difficulties at night to reach Krishna. So we might have hoped that more devotees would have taken a little trouble to come in the rain. So not many came. I'm not blaming you because you're all here. Thank you very much. So in this material world, people are not very much interested in Krishna. But unless one has an inclination to Krishna, then one's life is meaningless, spoiled. There are various levels of Krishna consciousness. But the level of Radha, again, we have to say, is superlative. Just way, way, way beyond our imagination. We can discuss it. We should discuss. As glorification of Radha and Krishna, in whatever manner we can, from the level that we can. The fact that Radha is so much beyond our ability to comprehend doesn't mean that we shouldn't glorify. We should do so to the best of our ability. She will be pleased. That will purify us. So Radha Krishna, they're standing here. And to ordinary vision, it may appear to be something very ordinary. Radha and Krishna. We have come here for spiritual life. But spiritual life means non-material, not materialistic. And materialism means, the very epitome of materialism is the relationship between men and women. And this is the first time I've been to Miami, but it's not very difficult to understand that central to the culture of Miami is the pursuit of this interest, the feelings, mituni bhava, the feelings between men and women. And there's so many arrangements, hotels and nightclubs, and gambling casinos with beautiful women. So that is the very center of material existence. Mituni bhava. This is the very binding force in this material world. Pungsa, what is it? Pungsastriya mituni bhavametam tayoraho hridaya grantimahuhu. Aho griha kshetra sutapta vitair janasya moho yamahammameti. The very existence in this material world is on the I, me and mine principle, which expands from the attraction between male and female. So the attraction between male and female in material existence is the very basis of material bondage. Not only in humans, in horses and pigs and dogs and cats and mice and in all species. The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. And in human life, especially, that expands into attraction to home. When man and wife unite, there's a very strong bond. When they reunite legally or religiously, not casually, then there's requirement for home, money, then children and relatives. And in this way, one is bound up more and more in the conception of I, me and mine, the concept of I, me and mine, which binds one in material existence. So this is about as ordinary as you can get. It's absolutely typical of material existence, is the relationship between male and female. And therefore, transcendentalists, they eschew such a relationship. We see that Buddha Dev, there's no Mrs. Buddha. We didn't hear of any Mrs. Buddha. Jesus, well, some people say he had something like that, some relation with Mary Magdalene or others or whatever. But we see he himself was very detached from this world. There's no official record of him having any wife. So this detachment from the world, that is the very beginning of spiritual life. If one is attached to material enjoyment, then there cannot be any spiritual advancement. And the epitome and the center of material enjoyment is this Pungsastriya Mithuni Bhava, the sexual attraction between male and female. And Krishna is worshipped as the supreme spiritual person. He is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, the topmost spiritual philosophy. He is the subject, Vedaischa sarverahameva vedyaha. He is the subject of the knowledge of the Vedas, and here we find him with a woman. So what is going on? How can Krishna be the very object, the topmost object of spiritual attainment, if he's got a wife? It means he's just mundane like you and me. He has such, you could say gross, or if you want to be more polite, ordinary attachments. So if at all we are to discuss Radha and Krishna, this point should be understood. Either Krishna is mundane, or his attachment for Radha is supramundane. Either one or the other. If we are to approach this subject intelligently, and of course Radha and Krishna are ultimately beyond intelligence, but still these subjects are to be discussed in an intelligent way. If we are to discuss this subject in an intelligent way, we shall have to conclude that the relationship between Radha and Krishna is not mundane, it must be supramundane. First of all, if it was mundane, then why would so many elevated transcendentalists who themselves are clearly detached from the mundane, why should they glorify Radha and Krishna? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna, but acting as a sannyasi, acting as a spiritual aspirant, he left his family, he left his wife to become a sannyasi, and in his sannyas, he became a sannyasi particularly for glorifying Radha and Krishna. Of course, his case is a little different because he is in the role of Radha. But so many great sannyasis, they have glorified Krishna. Actually, that's the proper duty of a sannyasi, the proper duty of someone who is renounced from this world is not just to leave this world, but to come to the positive position of glorifying Krishna. So there are many accusations against Krishna by persons who do not know who is Krishna. Krishna is accused of being a thief, a liar, immoral, and worst of all, of being a womanizer. So all these are true, but in Krishna's case, these terms which for others would be indictments, would be pejorative. For Krishna, these are terms of worship, of adoration. Therefore we worship Krishna as Makancho. We worship Krishna as a butter thief. He's not, we don't try to cover up or hide it or to explain it away. Rather, we worship Krishna as a thief. We worship him as Gopi Paranadhana, the wealth of the life of the gopis. And what business has he got with gopis, other people's wives? So what is going on here? either there's something extremely perverse or extremely sublime. So it's easier to come to the conclusion that it's extremely perverse, but the very fact that the enduring culture of glorification to Krishna, undertaken not by perverse people, but by the most, clearly by their character, the most spiritually advanced people, and the most elaborate and perfect spiritual philosophy glorifies Krishna. So all of this points to the relationship between Radha and Krishna being supramundane, far beyond the platform of the relationship between male and female, which keeps this world running on. Love makes the world run on, so we've heard. And that's true. The only problem is that in this material world, what is love, people do not know. They only have the perverted reflection. Actual love is in the spiritual world. Actual love is that of Radha and Krishna. In this material world, what is called love, that is temporary, because at the latest, that will be terminated by death. Or one may, if one acts very piously according to Vedic directions, which no one does in the present day, then one can go to the next life with the same spouse. Or one can go back to Godhead with one's spouse also. But that means devotees who are not cultivating mundane love on the bodily platform. They're cultivating love for Radha and Krishna. But love in this, what is called love in this material world, it's limited by time, it's temporary. It's limited by, it leads to disappointment due to false expectations. And it's based on the platform of mutual sense gratification, or higher than that is a mutual cooperation for executing dharma. But even if one husband and wife cooperate for executing dharma, which is a far higher platform than simply cooperating simply for the purpose of sense gratification, but if the husband and wife, specifically the husband, who's supposed to be the guru in the relationship between husband and wife, if the husband does not know actually what is dharma, that dharma means to satisfy Krishna, then that relationship between husband and wife is still mundane. So this material world is going on. The relationship between man and woman is a perverse reflection of the actual love of the spiritual world. And although there are millions, and there have been, are, and will be millions and millions of couples, man and woman, in this material world, but and there's famous lovers. What is that? Caesar and Cleopatra, and then Henry and number one and number two. Henry the Eighth and number one and number two and number three, and poor girls. Only one of them survived him. Romeo and Juliet. The main problem with Romeo and Juliet is that it's all fictional. What others? Will and Kate. That's the latest. And on, and there's so many famous lovers. But none of their relationships none have although it is hoped that their relationship will be perfect, but all of them put together cannot even begin to, all the love that they have put together cannot begin to even rival, even in the slightest way, that between Radha and Krishna. The very idea to love someone separately from loving Krishna is an act of rebellion against Krishna and blocks our ability to enter into actual love. Actual love means to serve Krishna, to assist Krishna, even from a distance. Das anudas anudas, serving a servant, who's serving another servant, who's serving another servant, who's serving another servant, and like this. And who is ultimately Radha is serving Krishna. So Radha has her assistants, they have sub-assistants, and there are sub-assistants, and so on. So all the service, all the love, all the happiness is meant for Krishna. And devotees' pleasure is in seeing Radha and Krishna together joined happily. Not that I will enjoy Krishna by myself. The very idea that I shall enjoy, any tinge of that completely cuts us out from the realm of bhakti, particularly the Vraja bhakti. There may be mixed devotional service in which there's so much for Krishna, so much for me. I'm doing this and this much I'll offer to Krishna and I want some payback for myself. But the Radha is so much glorified because she is, and so much dear to Krishna, because she is totally free of any such motive of personal gratification. Anaya radhate nunam bhagavan ishvaro harihi. She is glorified as that gopi who best worships Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller. So this attitude of Radha is the inspiration for all devotees. She is the leader of all devotees. We are all to follow her example. Of course, we are very, very small. She is very, very great. But even though she's very great and we worship her with great awe, but her greatness is not so much of sitting on a throne above us, but her greatness is her love is manifested in her compassion, that she wants to bring others to Krishna. When Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. When he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the bodily complexion and the feelings of Radharani, then he is the most munificent avatar. All the avatars of Krishna, Krishna himself, they're all very merciful. They come to this world specifically for the purpose of being merciful to the devotees. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, imbued with the feelings of Srimati Radharani, in this avatar is most merciful. And patra patra vicha nahi sthanastan jai jaha paye tare de premodana. He's in this mood. He doesn't consider who is fit, who is unfit. Wherever he gets the opportunity, he simply distributes love of Krishna. So this is the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Though she's so great, she's so compassionate, so kind, that we who are far removed from the plane of pure devotional service by our own attachments to impure, material desires, still we can approach her and pray that you are very kind. Krishna is yours. So please be merciful. Karunam kurumai karuna bharite. You are full of mercies. Karunamai. She is simply she is all mercy. So we can approach her. And ask, please give us the gift of service to Krishna. Of course, we have to be qualified for that also. We can't say, now I'm coming to serve Krishna with all my material attachments. That will not work. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha, she is willing to give us that. But we can't enter there. We can't enter that field of service to Krishna with material attachment. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's giving Krishna prema. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradaya jai Krishna Chaitanya namni gaura tvishay namaha. He's prayed to by Rupa Goswami, the very intimate servitor of Srimati Radharani. He recognized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is Radha Krishna. He recognized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the most munificent avatar because he is freely giving Krishna prema. But how does he give Krishna prema? How does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give Krishna prema to the fallen jivas? What is that? Koribaridan. Atanta durlabha prema koribaridan shikai sharanagati bhakatera pran. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu jive daya kari shaparshada shriya dhama shaha avatari. Atanta durlabha prema koribaridan shikai sharanagati bhakatera pran. So, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being very merciful to the jivas, has descended into the world along with his associates and along with his holy dham. And he gives the pure love of Krishna, Krishna prema, which is extremely rare. But how does he do that? By teaching the process of Sharanagati, how to take shelter of Krishna. So we pray to Radharani for mercy, and that mercy is manifested in the process of devotional service, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught to Rupa Goswami and instructed Rupa Goswami to commit in writing. That writing we have translated as the Nectar of Devotion, presented as the Nectar of Devotion by Srila Prabhupada. So this is the chain of mercy. Mercy is being passed down in parampara. So we pray to Radha, please give us the strength, inspiration, mercy. Mercy is required. It's not a mechanical formula, just following rules and regulations. Mercy is required. We're praying for the mercy to pour down on us. And we shall also have to make our effort by accepting that mercy in the form of the rules and regulations of devotional service. Generally, or often, on Radhashtami, many stories are told, many pastimes of Radharani. That is pleasing to hear, no doubt, but very intimate. And we shall pray for the day when we're actually qualified to hear and enter into and actually appreciate such pastimes. So much more could be said, no doubt. Unlimited the amount, the topic is unlimited, Krishna is unlimited. The topic of Radha, who controls Krishna. Radha Krishna means Radha's Krishna. So, that's a very great topic. But at 6:30, what's going to happen at 6:30? Abhishek, is it? Arati, all right. So, are there any questions about all this? Yeah, let me take from. Yeah, please. Radha and Krishna are worshipped together. In Gauriya Vaishnavism, Radha and Krishna are worshipped together. Krishna is worshipped alone, yes. Well, they're worshipping Vasudeva. Krishna outside Vrindavan. But then Krishna doesn't leave Vrindavan. There's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, Atapa Rohit Suraj Nahi Jani, Madhava Virohit, what is this? Radha Virohit, Madhava Nahi Jani. He says, just like we do not know, we cannot imagine a sun without heat. S-U-N, sun without heat. So in the same way, we can't imagine Krishna without Radha. So others worship Krishna without Radha, but we are followers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We are so fortunate to be followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has given us this intimate inside information. Yes, we should worship Krishna. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He presents himself as such in Bhagavad Gita. Just like you should respect the President of the United States. Why do you respect him? Because he's the President of the United States. Of course, in the modern democratic world, you can walk up to the President and you can say some vulgar things to him. That's acceptable within democracy. But actually, according to the proper protocol, one should respect. So, Krishna is the biggest president. He is the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should respect him, that's a fact. But he also is the most wonderful person. Apart from being the Lord and Master of everything that be, that's his role as what we would simplistically call God, he is the most wonderful person. It may be that someone's the president, but in his home life he's just boring, or he's just humdrum. It may be, the president is, okay, he's the president and you respect him, but for entertainment there's the comedy channel and, or there's some adventure channel or whatever. But with Krishna you get it all. He's the most exciting, most beautiful, most sweet, most everything. He's best musician, best dancer. Actually, Radha's the best musician, best dancer, but you don't know about that because that's his own secret private life. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives entrance into the Bipina Madhuri, Varaja Jubatir, Bhavera Bhakati, into the sweetness of life in the groves of Vrindavan with the gopis of Vrindavan. So this is confidential. We should worship Krishna. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one is fortunate to be invited into his personal company, then you can sing and dance with Krishna. You can steal his lunchbox. You can kiss him. You can fight with him. There are all kinds of things that you can't do with the President of America, and what to speak with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, anything else? One more question, and then you can quickly present the book. Please speak in the book. How should a Neophyte devotee, what should his mentality be in terms of worshiping Radha? Very good question. What should the mentality of a Neophyte be in worshipping Radharani? We have the deities. Srila Prabhupada has very kindly introduced to the Western world worship of Radha Krishna. Here there's Radha Vrajabihari. We have, Srila Prabhupada has given us Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, Radha Giridhari, Radha Shamasundar, Radha Landanishwara, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Parisishwara, Radha Madhava. So many others. We worship Radha and Krishna with the attitude that we are worshipping Lakshmi Narayana. We worship Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Radha as Lakshmi. We worship with awe and reverence because we're not on the stage. Or even if we are on the stage of spontaneous attraction, still we worship like that because that is the system for the temple. If everyone becomes completely absorbed in pure devotion on the spontaneous platform, then the question of worshipping without strict adherence to the rules and regulation arises. But still there's always the public who we have to preach to. So we worship in the mood of worshipping Lakshmi Narayana. Okay, so I'll finish that, and please you can kindly present the books. But you only have